Today we're going to show you how to build this beautiful Western Red Cedar planter box. Now it's a really fun, easy weekend project that you can do at home. You can even do it by yourself. You might need a helper here and there, and we'll show you where. But overall, it's a great project for almost any DIY skill set.
Yeah, absolutely.
And why do we like using Western Red Cedar for planter boxes?
We like using it because it's completely toxin-free, so you don't have to worry about anything leaching into your soil and affecting your vegetables.
I like that. Plus, let's face it, nothing looks, feels, or smells quite like Western Red Cedar.
Well, that's for sure.
Let's get started. Somebody order a 2x6 around here?
I sure did.
Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
So the first step is to prep all the wood, is that right?
Yes, right now I'm cutting the miters on the side pieces.
And interesting to note that we are using a beautiful knotty grade of Western Red Cedar, which is really going to add a lot of warmth and texture to the project.
Yeah, it sure is.
Plus, it's cost effective. So we have all the long pieces cut. This is going to be for the end frame.
Yes,
correct?
this is for the end.
Okay.
They're going to be 4 feet.
Right.
And we're getting them out of a board that's about 8 feet. First, we're going to cut this.
Yeah.
This way. Now we're going to measure our 4 feet. There we go. So there, we have one 4-footer.
Okay. Nice.
And now we're going to flip it. Oh, lots. Beautiful. Thing of beauty. There we go, 4 feet. Okay, so now we're going to cut the spikes, which will support the side and help to anchor the actual planter into the ground. So there's a couple bits of the process here. So what we're going to do first, we're going to cut them all to 2 feet long, mark them out. Two feet, right there. We don't need to put a mark for that. Now I cut it. And now what we want to do is put a point on the end. Okay. So how we're going to do that, we're going to measure in 1 3/8 inches. And then this is something you could do while I'm cutting. We're going to mark each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. Then we're going to set the saw to 45 degrees. There you go. We have a point.
And how many of those do we need for this?
We need 6.
Okay. And for more detailed instructions, you can go to realcedar.com for free downloadable building plans. One at the end, and you've already penciled in the middle. Nice. And there we go.
Oh, looks good.
Yeah, I can't believe we're already done cutting all the wood.
Well, it's because cedar is easy to work with. It's true and straight, and the tools love it.
Good to know. So tell us about the design. What specifications are we using here?
We're using 2x6, and we've used 2x6 so that we can add and take away. That's just a great increment. We're going to make ours 18 inches high, so that's what the 3 boards are about. But if you wanted to make it 12 inches, you could just eliminate 1 board.
And why is 18 the magic number in gardening?
18 is just a good, it's just a good planting matrix. It's a good amount of soil for virtually anything you want to grow. And it's in colder climates too. It's got a little bit of a frost protection because there's actually depth to it.
Okay, and you are no stranger to 2x6.
No, it's our most popular decking material. I've used it for over 40 years, and I'll go back to decks that I know of in our area still that are 30 years old and still look great.
And now it's time for us to build the sides. Jim?
Yes.
What do you need me to do?
Well, I've taken these boards and I've lined them all up flush on the end, and we're going to screw on these stakes. We're going to start with either end and then we'll do the middle.
Okay.
I'm using 3-inch stainless steel screws. We use stainless screws because they're impervious to corrosion, so they're perfect for outdoor projects. Okay. We're screwing from the back side. We won't see the fasteners when we get it all together. Okay, perfect. So we've done the two ends so that everything lines up. Now we're gonna do the middle one.
Okay.
So we could, yeah, we're pretty good there.
Where do you want these, Jim?
Put them right there.
Okay.
Right down there. And then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip this up, you're gonna hold it, and I'm gonna start attaching. We need to support a 4-foot piece, so I've just thrown down a couple extra pieces of wood we had lying around just to give us that 4 feet. You'll see why in a second. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start attaching the sides to the corners. Okay, here we go. So up she goes. Now you're gonna hold it steady and true. Okay, so now we flip this up and we're gonna attach the sides. We're gonna use trim head screws because they're small and leave a limited hole because their heads, by their very name, are smaller. Okay, here we go. So now, Sarah and I are gonna go grab the other side, and we're gonna start with that.
As you can see, it's coming along beautifully. I just love the tonal range of Western Red Cedar, from warm honeys to golden browns. It's just a stunning wood. And not only that, but Western Red Cedar is naturally resistant to rot, decay, and insects, which means this project's gonna last a long time.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Shall we finish her off?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So now we're gonna move to the other end and we're gonna wrap it up with the 3 boards, and then it's essentially ready for a cap.
Okay. So now we're at a point in the build where you decide where you want to have this in your garden.
Yes, we've designed it with these stakes with a soft soil in mind. In other words, you'd find out where you want to put it down on the stakes, and then tap it in with a sledgehammer, and it will anchor the whole thing. Then we'll put the caps on in that situation. If you have hard, rocky ground or gravel or something, you can cut these off, and cutting these off has no effect on the structural integrity of it. And here we go. Okay, so let's just put it right about there. Yeah. Let's have a look. Oh, it looks good to me.
Okay. And so before we add the caps, we want to...
Yeah, before we add the caps, we want to we're going to hammer this in because we found a perfect spot in the garden for it. So before we do that, and before we apply the caps, we're going to measure it to make sure that it's square.
Oh, you do that before you pound it in?
You got it.
That makes sense.
Just to make sure. Otherwise, we won't have a chance to square it up after.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
So you got 107 3/8. Now go over. And 107 3/8. So it's perfect. So we found a perfect spot for our garden. Yeah. Now we want to anchor it into the ground. Okay. It's very soft soil here. Yeah. So we're going to pound it in with a sledgehammer. Okay. We don't want to hit directly onto the wood because it's far too beautiful. So what we're going to do is, Sarah's got this board. We're going to use that. Oh, there you are.
Time to cut the caps.
It is.
Okay.
So the caps, I already have the measurements. We're going to do them with miters as opposed to butt joints. You could do butt joints for this whole thing if you wanted to, but I like the miters better. They look good, and we've done it up to this point, so we're going to miter it all.
So, Jim, do you have any pro tips for installing the caps?
Well, the cap's almost going to tell you where it wants to be. What it wants to do is it wants to line up with the inside of the stake to cover the stake, and then when it lines up on the corner of the stake in the corner, it runs through the lower miters. And that leaves us with about a 1/2 inch overhang on the outside. I'm gonna start by attaching this one, then I'll do the other long one, and then we'll fit in the end ones. Okay?
Well, Jim, another great job.
Yeah, it looks great. It's the perfect size. It's 4 feet wide, so you can get at the center easily from either side. It's 18 inches tall because that's the ergonomic for a chair, so it's a comfortable place to sit as well. And maintaining it and working it's not going to hurt your back.
Now for this project, we're just going to let it weather naturally, eventually turning a beautiful silvery patina. But it's good to know that Western Red Cedar is pitch and resin-free, which means it accepts and holds a wide range of finishes beautifully.
That's right.
Well, happy gardening, Jim.
Well, thank you.